Let's start with the proposition that Donald Trump will say, I had nothing to do with any of this. And so Pam Bondi and, congressional Republicans led by the spineless, Mike Johnson, they will say that anything that contradicts that is not credible, right? Because after all, the president said it's not true. And so if something else contradicts it, then it must not be credible by definition. And that includes, by the way, and everyone needs to pay attention to this, that is not just like witness testimony, but that will also be documents and spreadsheets, for example, that investigators put together. Let's say you have an FBI agent who went through reams and reams of files and put together lists of names of men who were with Jeffrey Epstein at various times. Well, if Donald Trump's name is on that list, even though it was compiled by an FBI agent, that list will be deemed not credible. And not only won't it be produced, but as I said, it can be withheld, it could be destroyed, it could be anything because it is not credible.
There it is.
That part.
Mark, when you're looking at the back and forth here today that took place between the House Oversight Committee that was seeking to bring in Ghislaine Maxwell for her own testimony and Ghislaine Maxwell's team's response, her lawyer saying that she would only come and sit for and testify if two things are agreed upon. Number one, that they provide all questions ahead of time. And number two, that she is given immunity. When you hear that, and if you are sitting on the House Oversight Committee, whether you actually want to hear Ghislaine Maxwell testimony or not, if you're sitting on that committee, how do you proceed?
I mean, first of all, let's be clear. Maxwell is a federal inmate. Okay, so when Maxwell says, I won't show up, I mean, the Bureau of Prisons can transfer her anywhere the Bureau of Prisons chooses to transfer her. I mean, the Bureau of Prisons can deliver her to the House room in which this deposition would take place. They could move her to a jail in Alexandria, Virginia, or in Washington, D.C. So the very fact that there is a negotiation going on here illustrates that this is not on the level because, like I said, she is an inmate. She is a convicted felon. She is a convicted sex trafficker. And she has no cards to play as to whether or not she meets with the House. Only the Bureau of Prisons can decide that. And what is happening here is they are letting her lawyer in this negotiation because, of course, Donald Trump doesn't want her to be transferred. Donald Trump doesn't want her to be delivered to House investigators for an interview. In terms of the question of what happens when she shows up, I mean, in the normal case, the investigators would test the proposition. They would put her in a conference room. They would ask her questions. She might or she might not invoke the Fifth. She might or might not be able to invoke the Fifth on certain questions because, of course, only questions that are substantive enough to implicate the Fifth Amendment could be at issue, and she has already been convicted. So, the scope of what that Fifth Amendment right is needs to be tested. Might they then immunize her on a question-by-question basis, for example, around Donald Trump? Maybe. Maybe they should. But we're so far from that, and that's not a negotiation. She's in no position to negotiate. If the House Republicans want her to appear, she appears. If they want to answer questions, she has to provide some answer, whether that's Fifth Amendment or otherwise, which they should test. And then finally, if they need to immunize her for certain questions, then that is a bridge they cross at that point.
So perhaps all the folks out there who are putting together your stories for tomorrow and whatnot, perhaps we all need to be on the level that, hey, let's remind ourselves that Ghislaine Maxwell is an inmate and this is actually not a negotiation.
Yeah,
okay?
we'll clip this part.
Yeah, we'll clip this part for America.
Right.
Can we turn to ask you about redistricting? Because what is happening in Texas is another story that, we don't think people should let go by the wayside. There was a hearing so Texas House members had a public hearing on this redistricting issue. Take a listen to some of what was said.
We are here today to testify against the naked power grab ordered by Trump himself.
It is Governor Abbott's job to work for all Texans, not mainly for big donors, a political party, or a president.
If you want to get reelected, you need to please the people, not number 47, because number 47 time is limited.
America's policy is made in the state legislatures, Mark, and this is an issue that, frankly, I mean, if Texas wants to redraw their lines in this special session, they have enough Republicans that they're able to do that. So can you just break down for us what is really happening here on this issue? And it seems to me that people are tuned in because these are regular folks that showed up at this hearing to make their voices heard.
Yeah, so let's have real talk about this, okay? The Texas legislature already gerrymandered the map in Texas. Okay, everybody needs to understand this. The Texas legislature gerrymandered the map after the 2010 census came out and should have given more Hispanic voting rights and didn't. It then further gerrymandered the map when it redrew them in 2021. So what we are looking at now, the maps that are in place today, are extreme gerrymandered maps. They are, in fact, illegal maps. I know that because my law firm and I are suing Texas over the existing maps as illegal. What the state of Texas now wants to do, and is bowing and scraping to Donald Trump to do, is to take a obscenely gerrymandered map and make it even more obscenely gerrymandered. They want to re-gerrymander the gerrymander. They want to take a map that already violates the law and squeeze another 4 to 5 seats out of it because they don't care about the law. They don't care about their voters. They don't care about what is right and wrong. They don't care about the Constitution. They only care about pleasing Donald Trump. And he is petrified because of what we just talked about, Epstein, because of the terrible things that he and Republicans have passed in Congress. He knows that if there are free and fair elections in 2026, he will lose, and he will lose power. And so that is what is going on in the state of Texas.